As I'm sure you know, Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price defected from the Nationals party room to the Liberal party room on Thursday, and today she did what we all expected. She threw her hat in the ring for the deputy leadership of the Liberals. Now, she's endorsed Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor for Liberal leader. Her main competitor, of course, his main competitor, I should say, of course, is Susan Ley, and there'll be a vote on Tuesday. So we'll see how all of that turns out. But Jacinta spoke on Outsiders this morning, endorsing Taylor for leader.
He is a pragmatic, deep-thinking individual who I would absolutely be privileged to serve beside going forward for the benefit of the Liberal Party.
I think it was probably a matter of when, not if, Caroline, this would happen. I and many others have said, you know, ideally you'd get her down into the lower house at some point, but if she was ever going to be the leader that we would want her to be, and I think she could be, she had to be in the Liberal Party room in order to do that. Unless, of course, the suggestion was that she became the leader of the Nats and then at some point she might be Deputy Prime Minister. But if you've got your eyes on the prize, and I think she may well and probably should, then you've got to be in the Liberal Party to do that. The response of some, and I'll get to Matt Canavan soon, but the response of some has been incredulous that she would dare to do this, but she does reserve the right to sit in whichever party room, Nationals or Liberal, that she wants to.
Well, the response is telling, depending on who it's coming from. When it comes from Nats, they're obviously... there is some unhappiness that they're losing someone who is obviously such a huge talent, and they feel that they gave her a go because they created this extra spot. They helped push for this extra spot for her in the shadow ministry. But there was this feeling that we'll hear from Matt Canavan soon that why didn't she tell voters beforehand? But who could have predicted such a massive coalition loss? That wasn't even in the polls, how much they were going to lose by. And it wasn't necessarily a given that Peter Dutton would lose his seat. I mean, that was a huge surprise for many people. So now there is an existential crisis in the Liberal Party, and there is no obvious future leaders as it currently stands, that when she put her hand up and she has obvious prime ministerial ambitions, I think there was a big sigh of relief from the Conservative base, because here's someone who represents the values, the old traditional values of the Liberal Party, who really could beat Labor at their own game. She's Indigenous, she's a woman. They would have no leg to stand on if they attacked her. So the people who are against her outside of the coalition, people who don't vote for the Liberals anyway, I think they're angry at the prospect that here's someone who could actually win an election for the Liberal Party.
Well, we mentioned Matt Canavan's thoughts. Here they are.
She's done damage to her own reputation with her colleagues, damage to her reputation with the people that worked for her. And it's the kind of thing that Lydia Thorpe did. How is what Jacinta's doing any different from what Lydia did? In fact, it's worse than Lydia. Lydia at least had a policy disagreement. Why don't you have the guts to say that to the people last week, before they voted?
Kel, to suggest that it is worse than Lydia Thorpe, I think is quite outrageous, to be honest. Lydia Thorpe left the Greens party and then has been a thorn in the side of the Greens party. There is, of course, no case in which Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price is now going to become a problem for the Nationals. What she would do over at the Liberal Party hopefully would help the coalition, of which the Nationals are a part. You know, it's not like Martin Hamilton-Smith, for instance, in South Australia, who at the first sign of getting himself a job in the ministry under the Weatherill government said goodbye to the Liberal Party. Yes, I'm going off to join them. You know, she's still in the same tent, and I think this only strengthens the coalition.
And the point is that she is a CLP member, and that means she had a right to sit in either party room, as Caroline said. I hope it works. I mean, I hope that, in the immortal words of Reg Grundy, the price is right. The worry is it may not be, because switching parties has got a very mixed history in Australia. I think it was an unhappy experience for Cheryl Kernot, for example. And if you go back much earlier, for Billy Hughes was a bad experience. On the other hand, for Joe Lyons, who got to be Prime Minister. So it sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't, because she is a huge talent and because she is so clear and has so much energy. It would be fabulous to see it work out well for her. But I think Matt Canavan is making the point that it could be touch and go. There could be people feeling this is the wrong thing to do, this was a bit disloyal or whatever. So let's wait. And if the Taylor Jacinta Price ticket doesn't get up, if we end up with Susan Lee, then where does that leave her in the Liberal Party? And certainly not sympathetic from Susan Lee. I mean, ideologically, Susan Lee is Malcolm Turnbull in drag. So they're not going to be close, are they?